So I'm going to start. Because there are a few people left. Most people, the out-of-towners, are gone. And this is also important because we want to give an overview, for especially also for new people, what the foundation is doing and what all the components of the foundations are doing, and which informs us not only here today and for people online, but also it's a thing that helps us communicating what we're doing on the internet at other occasions. So, yes, so I'm assuming, so all the people here in the room, of course, know what the KFA is and most of the entities of the KFA, but I will start speaking as if, to those who don't know anything about the foundation. And so the Krishnamurti Foundation was founded in 1969 by Krishnamurti as a continuation of an older organization, which was the Quink, a publishing organization that was dissolved at the time, and then all the assets went to a charitable trust. And that charitable trust grew over the years. In the beginning, it was of course only the East End property that was there, and then in '74, slowly the school was being built, and it was all under the umbrella of the Krishnamurti Foundation of America. And over the years, of course, the school has grown really significantly and rapidly, and the center actually only really started to become a bigger center in 2008, 2009, when the house where Mary Symbolist and Krishnamurti used to live on the East End became available to become a center. And that's when the whole... so now there are more or less two campuses here in Ojai. There's a center campus and there's a school campus. And the mission of the Krishnamurti Foundation, and that's the central mission, the first mission, is dissemination of Krishnamurti's teachings. And as he said, no conversion, it's not trying to convince people of anything, but just make sure that the questions and what he is pointing at is available as wide as possible, that people can come up on the ideas of the understanding of the self, which is maybe a part, but even more complex aspects also, like time, becoming, human suffering, and the problems with paths and methods and systems. And in summary, also the human potential, which is really important, like that there's something beyond the becoming, which is closer to the meaning of life and the meaning of existence. So disseminating that first of all as literal as possible to new audiences and also young audiences. That's one of our focuses. And then second, if you're familiar with Krishnamurti's work and also familiar with Krishnamurti over the history, he started founding schools. The first schools were in India already in the 30s. Rishi Valley was started very early, and then you had Rajgat, and then you had the Bangalore school, and you had I think there are now 7 schools in India. And in Brockwood, in England, a school was founded in '69. The Brockwood Park School was founded. And in Oak Grove, here in Ojai, the school was founded in '74. So that was the educational branch, really, of Krishnamurti's work, that he really felt it was important to create educational spaces for young people where they would somehow be the sensitivity to that aspect of life beyond the mechanistic aspect of becoming, being educated academically, etc., that sensitivity would be awakened in one way or another. And parallel with that, Krishnamurti started to be very interested in starting centers, and the centers would be for adults. He said, "Yeah, we already have something for young people, but we also need something for older people, people above the 12th grade, above 18." so that there are spaces where they can come together and they can explore the teachings, or by themselves, just taking a retreat out of their day-to-day life, or for having organized meetings where they can exchange with each other, where they can exchange ideas, where they can dialogue, or maybe in its highest form, commune, as it would say. So I feel that's the center aspect. And now you can see that we, here in Ojai, of course, now we have the center on the east end of the camp of Ojai. And we have and we have a center in Sonoma that's very recent, like just 5 years ago. A center that's just north of San Francisco. It's Occidental, which is well an hour from the Golden Gate Bridge. Let me put it that way. And in India there are many centers, and in Brockwood there are several centers. So. Wake-up call. So that is like the global movement, and all the foundations. I mean, you know, times have changed. Like when I started working for the foundation, because I first worked for the English Foundation, books were very important, and books are of course still important. But now slowly, internet and then social media is becoming more and more important in the dissemination efforts. You mostly effectively reach younger generations by social media. And I travel a lot, and that's what I hear also, that they're following the social media that we put out there, of course, together with our sister foundation. One of the most tool that's very successful is the joint YouTube channel, the official Krishnamurti YouTube channel, which has many followers and many people viewing, and has become more or less the central repository. We also have joined with the other foundations a website called JKO, jkrishnamurti.org. Is in need of upgrade, which we are thinking of, but it's also where there's lots of text and video and audio material of Krishnamurti available. And then there are other projects like the Krishnamurti Foundation. Here we have created the Krishnamurti Portal, which was our first attempt to use AI. So that's on the dissemination level, and we get into that a little bit later, because we'll have a little panel here that will explain a little bit more about it. Now, as far as how we now organize, because we went through a whole growing process, of course. At a certain point, the Charitable Trust had a school, had a center, everything was in one, and the board, maybe 7 years already ago, started to create separate entities, LLCs, but they're all owned by the KFA, but it's just in order to make sure that there's organizational clarity and to make sure that there's legal protections in place. We created these entities, but it's still all Krishnamurti Foundation of America, but operating under different entities. And that's still in the process of being worked out, because that has its own complexity, but yeah, so that's all. It's still one organization, and that's maybe really important. Yes, so what we want to do is we want to feature a few programs that I think are really successful at the moment, and Leah will do that, and then afterwards we will, some of the staff will sit here and we'll have some discussions, and we will also give you some more information about what the foundation is doing in different places and what we're up to. So I ask Leah to come and to do her thing.
Thanks, Jaap. I'm Leah. I'm the Communications Director at the Krishnamurti Foundation. I am responsible for several of the dissemination projects at the KFA. But today I just would like to highlight a couple of those. The first is The Immeasurable. It's an online magazine that we created to reach mainly new and younger audiences, and also people who are unfamiliar with Krishnamurti's work, or sometimes people are new to exploring these existential questions, or new to self-inquiry, or even just new to looking at life itself in a different way. The immeasurable is a contemporary entry point into the teaching. So it's meant to, the aim is for it to spark curiosity and inspire inquiry and exploration, specifically for the younger generation. Alongside the online magazine, we've expanded our reach through social media platforms. We have active channels on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok. Our YouTube channel alone has over 1.6 million views on our videos. And our YouTube videos mainly focus on short form videos presented in a modern contemporary format. And the aim of that is to make these teachings and this message more accessible to people who, you know, might not want to click on a video that's 2 hours long, it's in black and white, was maybe filmed in the 1970s or something. But the immeasurable also keeps its integrity. So it doesn't change the teachings at all, and it also always points to the original source material. So in case someone wants more than just a quote or a couple paragraphs, they'll always have the source there so they can see the whole transcript of the talk from where it comes from. The immeasurable also has a podcast. It's an extension of this effort, and it features in-depth conversations on topics like philosophy, education, dialogue. It includes discussions with those who knew Krishnamurti, and also explorations of themes from our programs and our annual conference. Recent episodes have asked questions like, what is learning? Does free will exist? And can you live without identifying? Through all these platforms, our aim is the same, to keep the spirit of inquiry alive and offer accessible ways for people to discover and engage with Krishnamurti's work today. So now I'd like to show you one of our short videos from The Immeasurable, just a little glimpse into how we're engaging with new audiences with Krishnamurti's work.
So, the mind, which is absolutely quiet, has space without any object in it. The moment there is an object, that object creates space round itself, and therefore there is no space. You understand this? When there is in one's mind an object, a belief, fear, the persistent demand for pleasure, objects, then each object creates its own little space round itself. And we try to expand these little spaces, hoping to capture the great space. So the mind that is completely quiet has space in which there is no object. And therefore, an attention not about something or attention towards something, simply a state of attention. And if you notice, when there is attention, there is an extraordinary space. It is only when there is no attention, the object becomes important. So attention is not a matter of cultivation, going to a school to learn how to be attentive, going to Japan or India or some Himalayan town and learn to be attentive, which is also manifestly silly. But attention is this extraordinary sense of space, and that cannot exist when the mind is not completely quiet. And this quietness is total harmony. Then the mind is not dissipating energy. Now we dissipate energy in quarrels, in gossip, in fighting each other. You follow? In dozens of ways. And we need tremendous energy to transform what is. What is my anger, your ambition, your greed, your envy, the desire for power, position, prestige. The what is. To go beyond what is, you need tremendous energy. But you have no energy if you're battling with what is. So life is a movement in harmony when there is this energy that is gone beyond what is. Because attention is the concentration of total energy. And all this is meditation. And one asks, is there something beyond all thought, something which is not measurable, not nameable, that no words can describe? Is there something like that? How are you going to find out?
Yeah, so that's one of our videos from the Immeasurable Project. We always encourage our viewers to comment on the videos and also engage on Instagram and TikTok and our other platforms. And it's really great to see a lot of, especially young people in the comments, engaging with each other about topics like these, about silence, about loneliness, love, and transformation. So yeah, that's the Immeasurable. And next I'd like to talk about another project that we have. So I think about 2 years ago, we started the first cycle of an online course that runs for 1 year called Unconditionally Free. This course meets once a month for a live webinar with the facilitator, Michael Mendiza. The course also offers opportunities for students to discuss with each other about each lesson plan. So each month is a different lesson, for example, on transformation, on change, on love, so I would just like to read some of the bio from Michael, who facilitates this course and meets with the students every month. Since the 1970s, Michael Mendiza has spent nearly 50 years documenting Krishnamurti's international legacy. As an artist and journalist, he has produced several feature documentaries, educational programs, and alongside Evelyn Blau, recorded about 100 interviews with people who knew Krishnamurti personally. Over 30 of these interviews, representing centuries of combined direct experience, are woven together with Krishnamurti's core themes: conflict, choiceless awareness, freedom from the known, happiness, the sacred, education, and the nature of the self. These interviews form the foundation of Unconditionally Free, this online course that Michael facilitates through the KFA. It includes the full text of his biography, Unconditionally Free, The Life and Insights of J. Krishnamurti, as well as insights from Professor Samdong Rinpoche, a longtime dialogue partner of Krishnamurti's, drawn from 5 years of conversations across 3 continents, published as Always Awakening. The course meets once a month for a live webinar, offering participants the opportunity to reflect on the teachings through open dialogue and shared inquiry. So this is a little screenshot from the student dashboard that students see when they first register for the course. So you can see here, kind of on the left, that those are the different chapters that students can click on. But what I thought was actually a lot more interesting was some of the questions and comments that the students have left. They'll often, ask each other really engaging questions about each topic. They tend to go very in-depth about all of these questions, and sometimes they don't have an answer. Sometimes the students also have the ability to respond to each other. So some of them, it's very interesting. Some of these questions that the students will pose will open a really big dialogue on this platform. So we want to have one here about learning. They had a chapter about fear. And then this was kind of one of the final comments from a student towards the end of the course. And I think this past year cycle, we've just had over 100 students who are regularly engaging with each other every month or commenting with each other on the discussion board. We'll also be reopening the course for enrollment again, I think this July. And we'll announce that on our website and everything once students can start registering for that. And now I'd like to welcome some of the KFA staff to join me for a panel so we can discuss more of the projects around the foundation.
Here, like this. Yes? Good.
Yep.
Well, I'm Jaap Sluijter. This is the man behind the scene, Francisco Mazza. He's the development director and the director of the Krishnamurti Center. And this is Kristy Lee, my partner. She is a publications director and archives director. And Leah is already known, marketing and communications director. So there's a few things. Maybe I shall start. Maybe first say something about the residential scholar program, or shall we go first to publications? Maybe that fits more.
Okay.
Shall we go to publications? Yeah.
Okay. So, oops, sorry. I made some notes. So since the last May gathering that we had, we have attended the Beijing Book Fair. We had a very extensive kind of Asia tour. While we were attending the book fair in Beijing, we had talks and presentations in bookstores in China, small one-day programs, as well as a 3-day retreat in the mountains in different parts of China. We also visited Vietnam for the first time. We were in Ho Chi Minh City for about 4 days. We met with publishers there, and we also had a morning presentation, which was attended by over about 150 people. And we ended our trip in Asia, in Korea, where we also met with a couple of publishers and also had a meeting, a small discussion with the Krishnamurti Center people there. That was about a 6-week trip. And it was a very fruitful time. Over the course of that period and until the end of 2024, we were able to contract about 33 books worldwide for translation. The newest book that was published in 2024 is this title, How to Find Peace, right? And we are currently working on 2 new titles that will be a continuation of the small booklet format, What is Meditation, and also Can Conflict End? So hopefully that will be coming out in about a year, and we'll be able to present that to you. I think that's, we're kind of, the work in publication is just ongoing as part of, we work closely with the sister foundation in KFT, and we coordinate all of our efforts to just keep the books in print and all the translations in a good order. So.
I can talk a little bit about one of the big projects that is coming for us that involves AI. We started already with a beta website. We call it the Krishnamurti portal, which is krishnamurti.org. But now the idea is to develop to train a model, a large language model, which is AI, with incorporating all the teachings, all the different transcripts, all the transcripts that have been finalized. There are many, I don't know how many thousands there are, but all the public talks, interviews, you can feed all that to this system. And the vision that we have is for the system to be able to help us connect the different topics that Krishnamurti spoke over the years in a way that is meaningful and that it goes beyond the direct link that maybe it's something that we will be able to do, but the more complex one, maybe AI can help us. So for example, would be, so if you imagine Wikipedia as a website for the teachings, where you have, if Krishnamurti is talking about fear, it's easy, a direct relation would be, okay, all the transcript about fear go here. But when he expands into fear connected with time and maybe suffering and anxiety, all that can be somehow brought together and make these connections with hyperlinks without having to do it manually. So that would be the first stage of AI helping us. Then from there are many other implementations that we have to, of course, be careful when AI becomes too creative, then that's a problem. But there could be a chat where you can you can converse with a book, for example. You can load one of the books, and then AI will be able to answer questions that are a direct transcript of Krishnamurti, but based on what you're asking. So those are the first two implementations that we're thinking about. And as you know, this is an area that is very rapidly growing. So there's probably going to be more there for us to discuss and evolve.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. So then another important program we feel is the Residential Scholar Program, which is taking place at the East End on the East End campus currently. It might expand also to the Sonoma Center at a certain point. And we're now finally having a permit to do that, have more students. So that's a program where a college age and up, it can go up to 60 or even older, can come for modules of 30 days. It can be, and it can be 10, 11 modules in a year, where they stay on campus, and the students have to have a serious interest in studying. They participate in all the programs that we have. They participate also in the staff meetings, and they help out. They volunteer also for the place. And we're asking them to write their study, what they're doing as far as SK. If they take a certain topic, some take education, the other ones take meditation, the other ones and they write each month a short paper on it, and sometimes we publish it and share that, and we discuss that amongst the staff. And it's not that we need papers, but it's just very good to have a focus in the study. Otherwise it drifts a bit, so we really felt that there was really a focus to create depth. And also it helps with, because as a staff we know we are very familiar with the work, and it helps them with guiding them to particular, directing them to particular books or particular tapes or particular videos on YouTube. So it's a great way of supporting if you know what somebody is studying. And yeah, so we really feel we're going to grow that program over the coming years into well, we hope about 8, and maybe at a few months out of the year, the permit allows us to also have 16 on campus at a time for a month. Yeah, and we received some donations also for scholarships for these students, because of course it costs money to be on campus and to have all the facilities there. So that's a new part of our program to raise funds for the scholarships, for the residential scholars. Then maybe I don't know, is it a good time to start?
The expansion of the...
Yeah, the expansion, yeah, okay, well, let me go there. So, when I came into my role as executive director of the KFA, which is now, that was in 2011, so that's 14 years ago, in May. At that time, there were already drawings going around by the different trustees on changing or adding buildings or properties to the East End campus. We started then to more formally work on it maybe in 2017, 2016, 2016 I created one document that pulled all the information together and the design principles or the design requirements and how we were going to do it. And we started submitting that to the county. And it took us 8 years, it's only like 2 months ago, when we finally got permission to expand and to build additional accommodation, about 12 extra units, for residential scholars and also for some staff to live on campus. So it was really a very drawn-out process, and it became complex because many reasons. One of the reasons has to be the roads in Ojai are completely blocked, so they don't want more traffic, so you have to create all kinds of precautions. And then the neighbors had all kinds of requirements, and that also created complexity. And then for those who have been at the East End campus, there are historic buildings there. So in order to expand, it has to be in harmony with the existing historic buildings. And some of the buildings are eligible for listing. We haven't listed them, but they are eligible for listing as historic. So we finalized that phase, and now we're starting to get ready to get the next phase, which is a whole set of things that need to be done in order to get ready for building. And we have a first 2 or 3 years where we will just do grading and get some tanks built in, and rainwater capture tanks, and solar panels, because one of the objectives is also to make the place more sustainable as far as water and as far as electricity. And then in about 3 years' time, we hope we can start with the building process. And only a few months ago, we started the fundraising campaign. We kicked it off, which we feel it will take at least 1 year or 2 years to raise enough funds. We need about 4.5 million for that building project. But so at the same time, you have things that are coming together at strange moments. At the same time, we're ready for building. The Ojai Retreat, which is here up on the hill, just overlooking, if you look out of the window, you can see the Ojai, is coming up for sale. And that threw us a little bit off, because actually not having to build is so much easier than to go through a whole building process. So if the KFA would be able to purchase that retreat, we could downscale our project at the East End significantly. So, so now we have these 2 projects, expanding through building or purchasing, and the purchasing, of course, is unsure at the moment. But we decided upon a 2-pronged approach for fundraising to see if we can raise enough money to buy when it goes on the market, and if we don't, then we continue with the full building project. Buying the property has lots of advantages besides the fact that you don't have to. Building is very time-consuming and complex. So if we can purchase that, it is fantastically located, because not only we have the Oak Grove School here, which is about 60 acres, and it has already a commercial kitchen, but also we have the KFA land. There's 150 acres of KFA land just on the other side of this mountain. So it's really advantageous, and it has already the possibility to house about 20 people. I think it has 12 rooms. So it will be perfect for retreats, small retreats, and the kind of functionality that we have also with residential scholars. So we wouldn't change the vision on what we're going to do, but we would change the strategy on how to meet it. And it's more or less the same amount of money. It's also about 4.5 million to purchase. I mean, no, I have to change. The assessed value of that property is about 4.5 million. And when it goes on the open market, of course, we don't know where it's going to land. But we hope that we can arrive around that price with the owner, and that we can raise sufficient funds. We don't need to raise all the funds, but we need to raise a significant amount in order to make this possible for the foundation. Yeah, do you want to add something?
Yeah. No. I think it's, of course, the purchase of the Ojai retreat, it has that positive thing that there will be no need to build, but it has also the limitation of time. It's not that it will be there forever as on sale. So I think, as you said, we have the two approaches. First, see if we can buy the retreat, and that same fundraising will continue if it doesn't happen to build the East End, the expansion in the East End.
I'd just like to show, because we have a nice card. If you're interested in supporting us for purchasing or for building,
take a card.
Take a card, or share it with your friends equally. So, yes. So what next?
Should we say where they can find that? The URL? Is it easy?
Yeah, we can say what's the URL?
KFA.org.
KFA.org/capital 2025. That's for more information.
Yeah. So if you could. So what are we going to do in the coming year? Maybe Leah, maybe you want to share something about what are the plans for the Immeasurable for the coming year? Is there anything on schedule? Is there anything?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to introduce some more podcast series, maybe with some local people in Ojai, or even the staff as well. I think another interesting thing for me is dialoguing with the residential scholars that come, because they often they come to the center with interesting energy, often fresh. And ready for inquiry. So I think I'd like to incorporate more of that into the podcast and have more of that discussion, dialogue-based element back to it.
Okay, good. Are there more videos planned?
Oh yes, definitely.
Good.
Yeah, we usually publish a video every 2 months, more or less. And it's very interesting to see. You don't know what's gonna really catch the attention of people out there. So we work with filmmakers, we put the videos out, and some of them get a lot of views, and others, nothing happens. Or then suddenly they get discovered a year later. So.
Yeah, it happens with like TikTok as well. We haven't done any advertising on TikTok, and it's grown really fast, or just organically.
Right.
And the other thing I noticed is that our engagement ratio is actually really great. Like when I read the comments on a lot of our media on Instagram or TikTok or even YouTube, there's a lot of people engaging with each other in the comments, and it's really nice to see. Sometimes you don't expect certain things to resonate with people or even be interesting to them. So it's nice to see that people are wanting to discuss these things with each other online. And like I said earlier, a lot of those people are young people. So I think it's important to be able to bring this message to the younger generation.
So one thing maybe to mention is that Francisco mentioned the AI project, which is in design phase at the moment, because of course there's the whole technology, who's going to do it, how you can define exactly what it needs to be done. So that's what Francisco and various other people are doing. At the same time, for the archives, there's another challenge then, because in order to submit the material, all the material has to be ready. Now, not all the material is ready to be submitted. So we don't only submit the text, but you also have to do metadata, and all of that needs to be part of the training. And so to get the material ready will be a gigantic task in the coming year, to be ready for the moment that a programmer can start to train an AI model, a sufficient AI model on it. And it's also a little bit two-pronged, because we're also considering updating the collected works. Collected works, of course, 70 volumes of Krishnamurti from 1933 to 1968. And we learn more and more that's actually quite a bit of work that hasn't been included, that we have, but still, and we have it in unfinished form, and it needs to be checked, needs to be edited, and also be included. So from the archives point of view, and just to get ready for the AI also, but also to get ready then for the second purpose, which is the updated collected works, there's a lot of archives work that needs to be done and be put into it in order to get this ready. And that's really a high priority, right? Because we feel that the collected works is one of our most important published works. It's really a very collect set of teachings that is the most complete works that we have about Krishnamurti, and are for the KFA the flagship project, and is still needs to be tended to. Yeah, maybe one other thing that maybe it's worthwhile mentioning is, and I think maybe I mentioned that before, but it's actually worthwhile that COVID changed a lot. Before COVID, hardly anything was done through Zoom and online, but now after COVID, so when COVID came, we had to shut down. Everything was shut down, and we went on Zoom, and we went on, all the programs became online. After COVID ended, the online programs remained, so we got all these programs going, but at the same time, the in-person programs started also. So actually, we were handling more or less a double of the amount of programs that we normally do. We have about 1 to 2 programs in person each week, and there's each month, and there's about 1 or 2 programs online each month. So there's the activity has quite dramatically increased for the last few years as far as engagement.
Yeah, I was thinking what you were mentioning just before about, the mission statement of the foundation, which is dissemination and preservation of the teachings. And preservation, it kind of sounds like you just put everything in the vault, and it has to be kept there. But you can see, as you're mentioning, with AI and all the progression of the different formats that have to be always updated and continuously investigating, and then doing the conversion, right? From CDs, DVDs, whatever has been there.
Yeah, and there are other projects, I think Kristy didn't mention, but for example, the board approved a project like Krishnamurti, like in the archives we have lots of letters of Krishnamurti, and some of these letters contain also teachings material, very unusual ones. And some of you who are familiar with Krishnamurti's work, there's one book published with Krishnamurti's letters, which is called Happy is the One Who Is Nothing, Life is a Razor's Edge. And which are letters between him and Nandini Patnaik. No, Nandini Mehta in India. Beautiful, highly recommended that book. It's one of my favorites. But there's many more letters that need to be sorted, and the teachings part need to be taken out, need to be placed in context, and that's a book that's going to take a few years, I think, to get that run. Originally, Mark Lee, who has passed away, of course, last year, as most of you know, was going to take on that project, but we have somebody else now in mind who's going to take on that project.
Just to say, I think to iterate and just press on the fact that the archive works very closely with the publications to make sure that the work that is put out there and disseminated is in its purest form, right? And it's not an archive that's just stagnant and just keeping everything safe, because our intention is to make it all available as widely as possible.
Yeah, and maybe also worthwhile mentioning is that besides the work that we're doing, we're also facilitating a lot of the work that other people are doing. Like yesterday, Connie Jones was supposed to talk, and she has written a book that includes quite a significant part of Krishnamurti's work. And so she works then with the publication, with Kristy at this point, on the material that's being used and the permissions and the rights. And we get rights requests for films, books, and all kinds of other publications on a weekly basis. And and that's of course a very important aspect of dissemination, where the Krishnamurti is inserted into other pieces of work, other authors' work. Yeah.
There are a few questions from the online audience. I don't know if we want to. Shall we try some, Leah, some of those? Or
yeah. I was
okay?
One thing maybe, Francis, do you want to say something about fundraising in general, how that's going?
So we have a fundraising calendar. There are different events that we work with the team, and at the moment we have a spring appeal. There are 2 appeals happening per year. A spring appeal where you can donate to the different parts of the organization. That runs for 3 months. So now we have another month with the spring appeal. You can see that when you go to the website, everything changes, and we focus on the appeal. The slideshow shows there's a new design, and our database get a printed pledge card. And that happens twice per year. And yeah, I think so far it's going well. There is always, when you think about inflation and all that, there is always in our mind the reality of having to continue to increase our donor database, and that's part of what we do. So apart from maintaining the donors that we have to open the door and see ways to bring new people, and it's happening. It could be, ideally. The secondary effect of Krishnamurti becoming more popular, it would be donations, so we can continue doing the work. But that's something that the only thing that we can do is disseminate. We put everything out there. We don't do it in a way that looks that we're selling anything. I think he wouldn't have liked that. But there is always a good response from people all over the world that are supporting the mission.
I think one thing maybe before we go to questions is maybe I want to mention is that for people to know that a campus like this on the school, but also the campus in the center, there are historic buildings on that campus, and the maintenance of that is quite elaborate, and it's a lot of work. And also we're migrating now to a more sustainable campus. One aspect is it used to be an orchard in the East End, an orange orchard. Now some of that we keep. We want to keep the feeling of an orchard there, but we want to move away from oranges, which use enormous amounts of water. And as you know, Ojai is really a very drought-prone place, drought-prone place. So recently we have, a few years back, we planted a lot of olives, and this year again we planted about 70 new trees. Most of them were also very drought tolerant, pineapple guava and pomegranate, and there's a date palm, and yeah. So we're really trying to get the water usage low, but still keep the sense of an orchard in place. Yeah. So yeah, maybe.
Well, I wonder now if there are any questions here from the audience. Okay, there is a microphone there. If you don't mind, David, and Dean, if you can put the microphone so and people online can hear it as well.
And just a reminder, because I saw many questions, if you please keep it to questions, but don't make it into a long essay on the meaning of life, especially at the end of the day.
Just 2 brief comments. One is I want to applaud you and encourage you for taking pains to, increase and expand the collected works. As a serious student of the teachings, I find the collected works, among all the many, many kinds of publications, the collected works are the best for someone who really wants to go into what Kay says, because it includes everything, a whole series of talks. And if that could be extended beyond its current cutoff point at 1967, and even go all the way up, to the end of 1985, that would be fabulous. Really, really encourage that. The other point I wanted to make, if you will forgive me for making a small correction, the Oak Grove School actually opened in 1975, and the reason that tiny difference is significant is because it means that this coming September is the 50th anniversary of the opening of the school. And Jody Grass, the director of the school, invited Karen Hesley and me to form a little committee to talk about what's going to happen to celebrate the 50 years. And I think a few things are in the works, and I'm sure the KFA wants to coordinate and support that as well.
Yeah, thanks for the correction. Yeah, I think 74 is when it started, maybe the building started or something. But or when the board decided to open the school. But there was something with 74 that I have in mind. But good, yeah.
Mark Dean, I think, was hired around that time.
Yeah, there it is, yeah.
Yeah, I apologize if this was addressed earlier because I didn't get here at the beginning, but I know there are several other Krishnamurti foundations around the world, I think the UK and probably India. How do you guys coordinate with them, work with them in terms of archives or anything else? I'm really curious about that.
In terms of archives and publications, we do work very closely together. As you know, the KFA and the KFT are the copyright holders of all of the work of Krishnamurti. So jointly, mainly with the KFT, we go, we have gone to book fairs together. We share all of our information together. We have a joint database, publications database. We have regular kind of meetings with the publication people at the KFT. And then in terms of with India, we keep in touch with them, but they're mainly responsible for the publications and translations into Indian languages in India. And the archives, we are very much working together. Same thing, we have a joint database that we all work on improving and putting in new information all the time and accessing. So.
I don't know if you mentioned the KFT is the foundation in England.
Oh yes,
the
yes.
UK.
There are 4 foundations: the KFA here, KFT in England, KFI in India, and the FKL in the Latin American Foundation in Spain.
Francisco, you mentioned that there are 2 appeals per year, and I just want to find out if there's an appeal to raise funds to purchase Ojai Retreat. Is that?
Yes, absolutely.
Is
yes,
that online?
that's online, and we're going to give you one of these cards, and you will know all about it. Thank you.
Yeah, or you can visit kfa.org/capital.
Yeah, question
Yeah,
from
there's,
Leah?
I think 2
Maybe
here.
1 or 2.
Oh, yeah,
Terry.
go ahead,
Yeah,
Terry.
I just wanted to point out what you were saying about not just putting the teachings into a vault, that the programs that we have, the online programs and the weekly, the weekly dialogues and the in-person programs are not just people teaching people what Krishnamurti is talking about. They're very lively explorations of it, and a lot of people who've read Krishnamurti or seen videos by themselves and really haven't had an opportunity to talk to other people about it. And this is a place to bring your own insights into it and to share them with other people and to learn from your peers.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we have a question from the online audience. Do you treat the teachings in its publication for being accepted by China's regime government?
I mean, there are two ways of looking at it. First of all, not all books will be are accepted. So there is certain things that are, but most of it is accepted and is actually doing very well. Actually, our largest sale of Krishnamurti books, like 1/3 of all our sales worldwide, is in China. And there's a very active readership in China on books. We occasionally see some bits being objected to, but on the whole, there are no issues, especially because our main publisher somehow has a lot of influence and they're able to have no censorship at all. But in the past, there were instances where certain bits were censored, but on the whole, I feel we almost have to. This is the only country, China is the only where the hard copy of the collected works is almost completed in Chinese language. It's a fantastic copy, and there's no censorship on those volumes at all. So I can say that. So minimal, but it has happened. Yeah.
Someone would like to know who the trustees of the KFA are.
The 7 trustees.
And a few left recently. Well, there's going to be.
There's been changes.
Right?
Some changes. Yeah. So it's. I can list the names. Yeah, if that's worthwhile. Rabindra Singh, Patik Wadhwa, Corey Fisher, Henry Fisher, and they're not related. Laura Rodriguez, Tony Aspin,
Darcy.
and Darcy Gray. Right. Darcy Gray is from a former teacher. Yeah. Yeah.
This could be the end.
That's it.
We're ending.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this. Is this the end of the May gathering? We're closing. Yeah. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody.